up, the 3 tips you need to evaluate charities to make sure your money is actually going to causes you truly support. You don't want to be a sucker in this.
You're not a sucker. You're just looking for a good deal.
Welcome back. The state of Utah, consistently one of the most charitable states in this country, but there are so many charities out there. How can you make sure your money is really going to a cause whose mission that you support?
To figure this all out today, best-selling author, speaker, and self-proclaimed champion of social good, he's Devin Thorpe. He's with us today to talk about this because we talk about it all the time here in Utah. You know, unfortunately, things happen, and that is just awfully sad, but people in Utah step up time and time again to help. So what do people need to do to make sure that their money is actually going to where it needs to be?
Yeah, so the first tip is oftentimes people are giving in response to a request. So ask yourself, do I know and trust the person who's asking me for money? And it isn't enough to think this person sounds trustworthy, right? You ask yourself if you really know and trust that person. And if not, I think you can feel safe in moving on, or at least saying no for now, and then doing more research.
I've had people approach me in grocery store parking lots. I've had people come to my door asking for money. In those situations, you know, you feel uncomfortable because you don't want to say no, but you do not know these people at all. If it's some organization you do know, how do you go about making sure your money is going the best possible place it can go?
Well, one of the great resources is to look online at Charity Navigator or GuideStar. They rate nonprofits, so you can go and see what their rating is and get a sense of whether or not people who have reviewed this thoughtfully think they're a good charity. And you can also, in many cases, get their financial statements to see how they're using their money. So there are lots and lots of data. You can see sometimes the compensation level of the officers and all kinds of things to decide if you want to help pay for that charity's operations or not.
It truly is shocking to see just how many of the pennies on the dollar some of those charities actually give to the organization they're trying to support. Our third tip today talks about online presence and how you can validate that or make sure that it is in fact a real place where your money is actually going.
That's right. This is such a great time and place to be giving because you can go online, look at their website, their social media footprint, learn all about the organization, and make sure that your mission, your values, your purpose aligns with the organization's values, mission, and purpose, so that you're giving to something that will accelerate what you want to do in the world.
Okay, so let me ask you, just because I think this is really important for people to figure out, and let's talk about overhead. Like, what percentages are we talking about when we're looking at a charity and saying, okay, they spend X percentage on their overhead? What's a good ballpark figure?
There are two answers to that question. The first is 20%. The second answer is whatever they need to spend. And the reality is more and more of us are beginning to recognize that that 20% rule of thumb doesn't work for all organizations, and it may impair the organization's ability to be effective if they're not spending enough on overhead and operations. That said, 20% is a good place to start.
A good rule of thumb.
Okay.
Very quickly, do you recommend, I mean, when you know that you're going to donate your time or more importantly your money, do you recommend trying to seek out some of those trusted organizations, or is it okay to venture out a little bit?
Well, I would answer this question this way. It doesn't matter how big the organization is, because oftentimes what we see with tiny organizations is they're operating with 100% volunteer activity. So all the money is going to program. What we see with large organizations is they have skills, ability, data, analysis, all kinds of capability that sometimes the small ones don't have. So there isn't a right or a wrong in terms of scale. There isn't a right or wrong in terms of do we trust the brand or is it unknown to us? Just do the research.
That's a really interesting way to approach it as you're thinking about giving your money. Thanks so much for joining us. Really helpful information as you at home think about where you want to put those charity dollars, because we know people in Utah are so charitable.
Always very charitable. Devin, thanks for your time. We certainly appreciate it.
Honored to be here. Thank you.